Alright, so I just want to get it straight out of the gate. I do apologize for being away for so long. I did intend on making at least a recap video for Worlds. It's just work and school kind of caught me in a really bad time. I do want to give a shout out to everyone who has subscribed recently. I know I never really sort of addressed it in my little vlogs that I had leading up to now. But we jumped from nearly like 270 subs to like over 800 now. Like that's pretty, like I know it's a very cliche thing to say. You know, I read all your comments. I even have people message me on Twitter, and like that's just a really cool thing to see. So like I really thank you guys for that. But anyway, I just want to make this video to give you an update on everything that's been going on in the off season. I'm not going to dabble too deeply because there is a lot of stuff, but you know, I'll just go over the main points. I think that if Worlds taught us anything, it's that you can never underestimate Optic. You know, some people were thinking, even myself, that this competition is way more closely knit than it was last Worlds, and like in some cases that was true. But Optic, they just kind of put all that talk to waste. They actually did better this year than they did last year. They only dropped 2 maps this year as opposed to the 3 they dropped last year. Now, after all that went over, things were kind of simmering for a bit. Nothing really happened too dramatically in terms of team changes. We're just kind of all like, you know, bracing what will happen next. And then we got kind of hit by a curveball. There is an announcement of the new HGS settings, which if you haven't heard about, I'll have a link in the description just saying what exactly new changes were. Essentially, it's a more step back to traditional Halo. So a lot of people were happy about that. Several tournaments were announced for both the summer and fall. The most immediate one actually being this weekend. It's UMG Daytona. That'll be from the 12th to the 14th, which 12th being Friday. It's going to be streamed live at twitch.tv/Halo, and just it coming up is sort of the reason why I wanted to make this video especially too. Rosters for the event were announced just a few days ago. Major changes in here being, of course, both the CP and EG. Crowd pleasers actually are now known as Ronin Esports. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Nothing else too crazy with the other teams. Most you have it's just like a one-player swap, but if history has taught us anything, one player leaving a team can make a difference in the end of the day. So I just thought I'd put a little commentary over this just to see how you know, sort of the teams are looking right now. For this rundown, I'll be using Halo Data Hive. It's a very good website for keeping track of scrims. If you don't know about it, definitely would recommend checking it out. Of course, those scrims you can only take with a grain of salt, but I figure, you know, what else do we have to dabble with right now? As of lately, Optic has still sort of maintained their lead over the competition. While it may appear that things are sort of tightening in the competition, it really isn't. If you look at Optic's track record before Worlds, you'll notice it's actually pretty fairly similar. Really don't have any major reason to doubt them now. Another team that's been doing well, or arguably just as well as Optic, would be the runner-ups from Worlds, that being Team Envious. They've been putting up some pretty impressive feats against the sort of mid-tier teams of the competition. But like, it's almost a given. If you've seen Envious in their track record online in the past, you know that they're a very good team online, arguably even better than Optic. Given that and the fact that they were beaten by Optic in their most recent scrim, I really wouldn't put anything too special in terms of how they've been looking recently. They've kind of been playing, I think, as they should. Another team I feel that fits in the same category would be Team Liquid, who also haven't really been showing anything too outlying in terms of numbers, which, you know, I think is sort of characteristic. All 3 of these teams didn't make any changes, so, you know, why would there be any sort of shifts in them? A team I do want to talk about because I feel like they're the most improved, some of you are probably guessing it, is Team Luminosity. They've sort of managed to maintain this bar with the sort of the mid-tier and also even, I'd say, higher tier teams outside of the top 2. 2 things I think that they really benefit from the switch, which basically they swapped out L-Town for Trippy. I think it makes them a much more consistent team, and I also think it makes them much more ambitious. They're at a point that I feel that if they can climb the ladder, like, it's there for them. Alright, so apparently my camera did not record anything past that, so I'm gonna try to pick up from where I was. But straight ripping, as with Team Liquid and Team Envious, I don't see anything too surprising. I know you might be thinking like, what the hell? Like, but if you look in the past, this actually isn't too uncharacteristic of straight ripping. Look at their scrim records before Worlds, and it was actually pretty similar to where they were now. You know, I don't know if they're just bad online or they're just, you know, practicing against these higher teams, trying out different things and implementing them against teams that are actually like around their level. Or I don't know, maybe they're just really bad. I don't know. But you know, I wouldn't put too much pressure on them. I think when the occasion arises, they will turn up. Some of the newer teams, which I mentioned before, are Crowd Pleasers and EG. Crowd Pleasers, of course, being Ronin Esports now. It's really hard to argue that they're not the lower tier of the teams in the whole spiel, but I feel like Ronin is more of the oddball to me. It seems like more recently the only team they've really been consistently beating is EG, which, at this stage, if EG is the only team you're sort of consistently beating, it sort of raises a question mark, saying like, what's going on right here? I do think that with the addition of Spartan and Suspector, it does make them a more powerhouse heavy team, but it also makes them a much more snowbally one. I'm looking for Kratos and Straight Stick to kind of keep the team's morale high, and if that works out, they can make some upsets. EG, great players, but it would really be a surprise to me, and I think everyone else too, if they pulled anything higher than top 8 for this event. Finally, we have the 8th champion spot, that of course being with Splice. Still a team of young guns, swapped Falcated for Renegades. I do see this as an upgrade for the team, but I still, I feel, and I know everyone else feels this too, like they have an enormous amount of potential. We've seen them have glimpses of honeymoon success, especially when they first formed, and now they've just been sort of simmering around the top 6 spot, and you gotta wonder okay, what's it gonna take? And I think that a team like Splice is not a team that we can read online, but more from the actual event. Until then, I'm sort of seeing them in the same spiel as Luminosity and Sheriff, and they really haven't showed me any more reason to put them higher than that. In terms of final placings, I'm not gonna be making a whole bracket again, but I'll just, name them off what I think will happen. I think that first place will go to Optic again. The runner-ups will be Envious again. Liquid will get 3rd. 4th place is just going to be the oddball here for me. I think that Luminosity will snag 4th place this time. 5th, 6th will go to Sharipin and Splice. And I think 7th, 8th will be Ronin Esports and also an amateur team. I know you're thinking oh wow, I'm really putting EG to the dirt here. But, I just don't have any more faith in them, to be honest. And some of these amateur teams are really, really good too. I would say that between them, Ryanoob and Commonly's team will probably be the teams to burst into that top 8 spot. Now, a cool thing about this tournament, if you haven't already figured it out, it is an open bracket event, meaning that amateur teams have the opportunity to make it into the championship bracket. Usually it starts at the top 16, and they play it out from there, so it's really cool. I think it's really a really good system to see some really good upsets. A big thing I think for this whole era of Halo Esports is that there really is a lot of talent left outside of the top 8, usual teams that we have, and to just sort of limit that to just pro status, I think that having more open events leads to opportunities for great upsets. Other than that, I think I've hit pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. Again, sorry for being very late and everything, but once school summer is down, I will be back on a regular schedule. I do expect another highlights video similar to what I did with Worlds for Daytona. It may be a day or two late because this weekend sort of splits between 2 of my finals, but I'll get it to you guys. I'll see you guys this weekend.